don't know. There's something we need to look into that. That's another point. So these are the points I want to comment on your comments that you gave now, which was very useful. Thank you, Ambassador. I go to yeah, please.
Just following on what Dr. Sharif had just said. Actually, the Egyptian businessmen are a little bit conservative. And actually, the problem is we were away from the African market the last decade for a very long period of time. And when you don't know the market, it's very difficult to invest in. But now, with the new regime and with the new approach to enhance the relation between Africa and Egypt, I think there will be a lot of possibilities and a lot of opportunities for future investment in Africa. And as Dr. Sharif said, we always start by trade, and then I hope to be very soon in investment. Actually, Egyptian businessmen are investing all around the world. They're investing in Canada, they're investing in Far East, in a lot of places. But I'm sure investing in Africa would be very much more beneficial than all these countries. Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you, Engineer Moataz. Yes, he's very right. By the way, I want to tell you that Egypt has 7 pilot farms in Africa since many years. We have done it in Tanzania, in Uganda, in Chad, in several African countries, Egyptian pilot farms. And we have experience in plantations in Africa. And we didn't make use of that. That's why we have formed this committee now with the Minister of Agriculture, the present Minister of Agriculture, to look into the opportunity. And we have actually a meeting next Saturday to discuss this. We are making a feasibility study and choose some African countries to start working in them, together with Afri-Exim Bank, which you have mentioned also, to finance, because the problem with such investments in agriculture, it needs a lot of investments, okay? And you need a financial institution behind you. And that's why we're going to do through Afri-Exim Bank. Ambassador Lieutenant General Charles Angina, the Deputy Chief of Mission of the Republic of Uganda, please give us your comments.
Thank you very much, our moderator. I request that I stand on the protocol that is already established in the interest of time. Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate the opportunity given to us to be able to address this important audience on this very important subject of ensuring that Egypt, which is strategically located on the northeastern part of the continent of Africa, gateway to many of these continents that relates with us closely, that we are able to see where we have not been able to take advantage of this strategic location of Egypt. Egypt would unlock the entire continent by just virtue of unlocking what has denied us this opportunity. One, Egypt has not known how much Africa holds in terms of what can run the industries that Egypt has. Egypt, for sure, you are the cradle of civilization, and whatever we go to look for in Europe, in the United States, and in Asia, it was birthed from here. And Egypt has remained either satisfied with what it has and not seen how other big boys from different continents are dashing to the rest of the continent. I'll give you a simple example. The year before last year, Uganda held 2 big conferences. We had the non-allied conference, which was held in Kampala, and the G77 plus China. And in that 2 conferences, there was also a business expo on the side, the East African Business Investment Expo. We're blessed to have a good number of Egyptians business community that came to grace that business expo. And one of the leaders of that particular investment expo group that came from Egypt and the Gulf states, because they associate in their business association, they were able to challenge our president, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of Uganda, and said, Your Excellency, we are your brothers. We are your Egyptian brothers and sisters. You have given the Chinese enough space to do industrial parks, which is dedicated to the Chinese industries. You have done the same to the Indians. What about us, you Egyptian brothers? So our president was challenged. I said, okay, what do you want? Then they said, we want land because we can't do this industrial exclusive for Egypt and the Middle East without land. I said, how much land do you want? Then they said, we want 2 square miles for our exclusive economic zone. And our Excellency says, you have it. From that time, it's a year down the road, they have not been able to establish it. So you have 2 square miles in Uganda to do the industrial park that can be able to open up the big market in that middle part of the African continent. So that's one example that we believe if you have the heart that we want to resonate with opening up the entire continent, the opportunities are there, and it's only the confidence and the ability to move. I've asked a number of Chinese, a number of Egyptian brothers and sisters, out of 10, if I asked, how many of you have been outside Egypt to the rest of the African continent? Out of 10, I will get 2. But if you asked how many of you have gone to Saudi, to United Arab Emirates, the Middle East, almost everybody has gone there. I want to believe that we have a challenge as Africa. And this challenge stems out of the guns that have never gone silent. Business investment does not relate with guns, wars, conflicts. The rest of Africa, we still have this problem. And I want to believe that if your brothers are fighting in any part of the continent, it's our duty as African, in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, to find the solution on how we can silence these guns so that we compete effectively with other continents. But the challenge remains with us, African brothers and sisters. If the guns are still sounding, why are the Egyptians, why are the Chinese, why are the Indians still daring to go and invest in those places, even when guns are still sounding? Why? Because they know those are temporal problems that can be dealt with, but investment must be undertaken. I want to salute the companies, the big companies of Egypt that have dared to go to those places and have done better than the experts that we're getting outside the continent. We have had the Arab contractors going to fix the problem in Tanzania, which was started by China, and they were not able to complete it the way it was required. The Egyptian engineers went there and fixed it. And that's the big dam, the energy hydropower dam in Tanzania, part of the South African community. We have Arab contractors doing the roads in Uganda. We have Samuco, which is also an Egyptian company, doing the upgrading one of our airports in Gulu to International Airport. They're doing the road from Gulu to another city of Lira, and they're doing the stadium. So Egypt is beginning to move out, which is a good thing. And I want to believe that that challenge should be undertaken. Egypt has the biggest number of both water engineers and civil engineers on the continent of Africa. Why should we be able to give these jobs or contracts to other engineers outside the continent when we can do it ourselves and retain that resource within. Egypt, for the period I've been here, I've known that you have big capacity in industrialization. It's true that what you produce can completely augment in big percentage of the import substitution. What we bring from all other parts of the world to the continent. If we focused on what Egypt is producing, we would save quite a lot in the terms of money that we use in importation of these different goods. And yet, not many African countries know the capacity of what Egypt has, including myself. Before I came here, I didn't know that Egypt was so advanced with so many other aspects. You kept most of this information closed. And I think the beneficiaries have been people of the Middle East than the rest of the continent of Africa. We used to have a lot of fruits and beverages coming from South Africa, from oranges, from mangoes, from strawberries, up till Egypt products started coming, and we found it is effectively very competitive, and the price went down because Egypt brought very healthy and very tasty, juicy fruits, and that made the market to equal and made an effective difference. Now, for pharmaceutical industry, which I would also have to mention in this audience, we used to have pharmaceutical industry products coming from China, India, and South Africa. From the time Egypt pharmaceutical products came into the market, the situation has become very good because how the dose for whatever you take is made small. And you know, most of this pharmaceutical medicine has side effects. The more you take, the more side effect you get. But the dose of Egypt pharmaceutical medicine is you take less and the frequency maybe once or twice and you get healed, which is a big upload to Egypt. And also most of our people were going very far to get external treatment. And yet Egypt has better facilities and also better results on how to treat. I would request that Egypt opens up and advertise and make it easy for people who are coming for those kind of services which Egypt can provide. Now, the other point that I would want to emphasize as I come to conclude is that transformation is about what my senior said, it's about mindset. We cannot achieve this if we remain with the mindset that is each continent plays its game the way it wants and each country deals only bilaterally. We need to ensure we have reforms that brings our unit of purpose, that Egypt and the rest of the African continent thinks in the same way for common purpose that can bring us to the maximum benefit of what we have. For instance, we have had Zambia producing a lot of maize, corn, to the point that they cannot take it anywhere. If part of Uganda, Kenya, and so forth can't take it, then they get stranded with it. But you'll find another part of Africa totally in need of that maize, but they cannot be able to access it. And this is because in our planning and looking at things, we are limited to what you can be able to do within your limited space. But this can be unlocked. But what His Excellency, the ambassador was saying about logistics, the cost of transporting that maize from where it is to where it is required is extremely very expensive, to the point that somebody will prefer to get rice or other things, even from Brazil, even from very far in another continent. How do we resolve this? We can resolve this again, challenging our Egyptian brothers who are more advanced in engineering to work with the rest of engineers from the continent to do waterways. Our first shot should be waterways. Why? Africa is so endowed with a lot of rivers and a lot of water bodies, which we could be able to do some engineering work that would make possible for us to take this water where it is required and where we can be able to take our goods and services in the most cheapest way and maintenance almost free if we did very good waterways. We have two big rivers on the continent of Africa, very big. One is River Congo. River Congo flows from Congo and it ends up in Atlantic. And River Congo is 10 times the volume of water on River Nile. It goes to the Atlantic. If anybody here can stand up and challenge me that Atlantic has said it is thirsty and it requires that water, then I rest my case. It's just water going to waste. And yet we can navigate this water to sort out the issue of water on the continent. It can sort out the issue of agriculture, and it can sort out the issue of tourism by using the boat cruise, which Egypt again is still number one on boat cruise water vessels. You are still number one, you make it, and you have utilized it in an effective way. Number three, on the same issue, most of these goods that you'd want to pick, raw materials to come and help the Egyptian industries that was picking raw materials from Europe, from Russia, from Ukraine, which is at war, you'd pick it from the African continent. Timber, fertilizers, and most of the minerals that you need to do a lot of things. We are endowed with a lot of uranium, which would enable us to have our own energy. The energy that can be able to serve most of the African continent countries that are still being run by generators. Why should Africa run by generators? With the science and the technology Egypt already has advanced with. And yet all the raw materials to do nuclear energy we have. Uganda is endowed with a lot of uranium. DRC, our neighbor, is endowed with a lot of uranium that could turn and empower the continent. And we stop the expensive generators. Finally, can it be possible that you, Egypt, accept to be our leaders in terms of technology? Because Egypt, if you already advanced with technology and you don't use the spirit of Pan-Africanism to expand it to where it is required, we shall remain running in silos. But if you lead the way, like I've always led the way historically, he said even in agriculture, even historically, Joseph in the Bible, Egypt fed the entire world. So your number one position, it is for a long time and it's divine by God. So take lead in this, we are behind you and we can transform the continent and all these problems we have, we can resolve it. Can we start by import substitution so that we don't spend money to import things from outside the continent when you have it here? I submit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for this very encouraging and clear words that you have mentioned. I think sometimes the problem is with us here. We don't do enough effort to do all the things that you have mentioned: import substitution, energy, infrastructure. We have, Arab contractors, yes, are doing a great job in Africa, and but we need to do much more than that. We have a big industrial base here in Egypt, which can be very useful. Many African countries don't know Egyptian products at all. They have no clue about Egypt produces this or that. Maybe when you came to Egypt first time, you didn't know that Egypt produces all this. All across the board, food industries, as you mentioned, the juices came from Egypt, are very good, and they're very good. Ready-made garment in Egypt is a very advanced industry. ICT, is very advanced in Egypt. Egypt is very advanced in digitalization, which I think Africa is trying to embark on such important projects. I think we need to do much more effort in Egypt. Yes, pharmaceutical product, I told you, yes, many people actually are very much for Egyptian pharmaceuticals, but we're still not there. We're still not there. So I think that's why we have such a meeting like today's meeting, is to discuss openly all these, obstacles that we are facing in Africa. That's why we have such a meeting today. And I'm actually very glad that we heard your point of views. And I'm sure that our audience also would like to participate in some of the questions to raise. What else you can take? Okay, anybody has any question? Okay, we start first and then we go by, yeah, you have the microphone. You just present yourself so that people know who you are and the ambassadors would know who you are. So.
Certainly. My name is Dora Fiani, and I'm chairing an NGO, Knowledge Economy Foundation, and we specialize in agriculture, service to agriculture, targeting small farmers, and we were a pioneer in digital agriculture. What I would like to bring to the panel is the initiative. Is the initiative taken by the African Union Commission to set up.
شوفي الميكروفون بس عشان مش واضح الصوت. قربين بس.
Is it better now?
انت علي الصوت شوية.
So I'm sorry. So I can repeat my name if you want to. No, I think that's okay. Good. So what I would like to bring to the table is the importance of agriculture and the fact that the African Union Commission has just issued the Africa Food Safety Strategy and have just initiated an Africa Food Safety Agency. I'm bringing this up because part of our work is to be within the European Horizon Europe Africa programs, studying precisely food safety. And that is a key area in which Egyptian and African could cooperate, because the topic is about the African Free Trade Exchange. If we do not have common food standards, we will not be able to trade. And not only this, we will not be able to trade with the rest of the world because we have not aligned our food safety standards with the international ones, starting with the European ones. So I'm bringing this up. It's a very important topic because it would bring directly a better competition for African products, trading among ourselves as well as with the rest of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Dor. Again, we take a few questions, then we. Yes.
Thank you very much, Engineer, for these topics, Dr. Sharif and Deputy Sharif. I would like to recall on the point of pharmaceutical products again. Even the ambassador spoke about it. Last year, Africa imported not only was 50 billion, around $90 billion for pharmaceutical products. Egypt had only about 400, or 500.
60 million.
So I'm just telling the ambassadors we have in Egypt 132 highly qualified factories of pharmaceutical products. And I don't think all African countries know this. We have actually started vaccines production here in Egypt. Very high quality vaccines production. Egypt is producing anti-hepatic C medication 50 times less than other countries. 50 times less.
Less in price. Less in price, you mean?
Yes, less in price, yes. 50 times less in price with the same high quality issue. So all these things, I don't know why till now we cannot break through African countries, Mr. Ambassadors, to accept the pharmaceutical products of Egypt, like you said, and to build industry of pharmaceutical in African countries. Just I wanted to comment, to recall what Dr. Sharif said, and I confirm this. We have so high quality medical health hospitals in Egypt, in Cairo. We have 120 faculty of medicine, 100. We have 35 universities, governmental, and 80 private. So all this will be a big issue for cooperation and to accept all African students. We are beginning in Egypt for the first time to have a faculty of medicine in French. It will be the first one in cooperation with France. So all these issues will help a lot of cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Hani. He wants to comment, just comment from Ambassador.
Yes, I think this issue is a very important one. But you should know that the pharmaceutical industry, is very competitive. Most of our countries, the pharmaceutical sector is in the hand of our former, let's say, not Indians, or the colonial masters. And this is something that is rooted since our independence. So what needs to be done is to try and find a way to circumvent that. So, as you said, many of the issues, they will say no standard issue because, you don't conform with the WHO standards. Now, Dr. Gebali said that you have overcome that. Yes. And also, I think at the level of African Union, this African drug agency has been created, would help in that. But the issue is that if you want really to penetrate our markets, just don't come and say that you just bring in drugs to sell. You have to see a way how you are going to build, factories in Africa. Many other countries have done that. Why you do not do this? I think we should think about it strategically. Of course, as my colleague said, the drugs that come from Egypt are known to be good drugs and everything, and also cheaper. But if you want to go into our countries, you need to find a way to really come and invest there and create, factories in our countries.
Thank you, Ambassador. Okay. تفضل يا سيادة اللواء، تفضل. بعد ناخد بعديها الترابيزة ونهاتهم نمشي كده بالتدريج.
Thank you for this very important meeting. Let me tell you some of my experience as I'm former chairman of the Consumer Protection Agency of Egypt. During my shift as a chairman, we had too many meetings for the African dialogue concerning how to raise the issues of consumer protection as it leads for the good trade between the countries, or organizing or protecting the trade in the countries. At the end of the day, that would make the trade is very successful. And I remember whom were keen to host those meetings is the Ministry of Federal Trade, the American Ministry of Federal Trade. And also that we have to consider some issues like the standardization, the standard product, because if we keep the standard, this would lead to a good trade, and also preventing the misleading advertising, especially those advertising is casting from a country to another and affecting the consumer rights. and also raising the capacity building of the consumer and the legal framework, because also the vulnerable consumer will never ever get his right in the market unless the countries together can have standard of protection for the consumer and for the trade at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, General.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to say a very small word, I think, regarding the consolidated containers, the parcels. I think it's, you can give it to a consolidator who can consolidate as many parcels as you want into one container. But he has to be a consolidator, not the shipper himself. So if somebody's coming to put some consolidated cargo in by himself, he has the 5 parcel limit. However, if you give it to a consolidator, which has a license to consolidate LCLs, he will do it even if the container is not going to Sierra Leone. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Samir. Yes, اتفضل هنا.
Samir, what's the cost?
What's the cost related to that? Because we're talking about competitive.
I think it's sorry. You don't have to have 5 parcels. You can have even 1 parcel, and the consolidator will immediately ship it for you.
Please do us a favor after this meeting, we'll get your contact so that we can contact that person.
There are many companies. There are so many companies having a consolidated license, consolidators,
Okay.
and freight forwarders.
So he will contact you, Samir, later on. He
Okay.
wants to contact you after the meeting.
Thank you.
General Dr. Mustafa Hadood, ex-governor of Beira. I am speaking that one of the best things to be done, the direct flights between Egypt and all African countries, which helps in the future, like Turkey, for example, the direct flights from Istanbul to African countries helps the trading between both countries. Second thing, that there is a good opportunity for cooperation between African countries and Egypt in all military products. We have good factories producing all types of Western and Eastern products, especially ammunitions and arms. And this is a very good way for cooperation between Egypt and all African countries. Thank you.
Thank you. I think about the airline, Egypt Air has increased a lot its presence in Africa. And I think in 26 they will increase even more because there's shortage of planes now. This is a supply chain problem in the world. But Egypt Air already is covering a good part, has improved a lot in the last 3 years in its presence in Africa. Yeah.
Any other question?
Any other questions? Huh? Statement? Yes, please.
Is it a nice one or? Okay, if it's a good one. Okay.
Talking about economic cooperation between Egypt and Africa, it's a big issue, very big issue. فأنا عندي one statement بتقول إيه؟ No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. Means what? And then if you want to do business in Africa, you have to expect some risk. Without expecting the risk, there is no business. It's a little bit, you have to think of it before going to do business with Africa. Thank you.
Dr. Hassan, wallah, you fascinate me every time. Wonderful statement.
Okay. The Deputy Speaker of Zambia, you would like to share some comment because you are here, you're the first Deputy Speaker of the Zambian Parliament. We'd like to hear a comment from you about some words from you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Honorable Chisangano, the first Deputy Speaker. Just to mention that we got drugs from here. It was a wonderful thing because we had shortages in our hospitals. However, the request would be for Egypt to go and set up factories in Zambia where they can be producing more drugs there. And also, when you talk about transportation, if the airline can also reach Zambia from here, it will be very wonderful. Talking about agriculture, I think when our president came here, he signed an MOU to do with irrigation. We want that expertise so that as a country, because of the droughts that we've been experiencing, we can do some improvements in agriculture in order to improve the food security in our country. I think that is my request.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Sister Fisa, how about you're the Assistant Foreign Minister for African Affairs. Can you maybe have a comment from you?
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharif, and thanks to Dr. Mu'taz Raslan for this opportunity. And I must say, really, I'm fascinated by the openness and the frankness with which this conversation has taken place. And I have to thank my dear brothers, their excellencies, the ambassadors, for actually pointing to a number of very important elements and aspects from different perspectives. I must say that much of what I heard today has been on the minds of the government. And I have to say that tomorrow morning, there is a very important meeting that will be chaired by the Prime Minister dedicated specifically to solving many of these issues of trade with Africa. So this is something really that accords the highest attention of the government of Egypt, with direct directives from President Sisi, and with direct involvement from His Excellency the Prime Minister. I have to say that the issue of no pain, no gain, I think, is a spot-on comment. Let us not really hide behind any big and nice words. Yes, we have to admit that there are issues that hinders the flow of trade across Africa. It's not between Egypt and Africa, but across Africa. The Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement technically has come into effect. However, negotiations on certain items and certain sectors are still ongoing, with a lot of resistance from different parts. I wouldn't say governments only, but also interest groups within our country.